You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Trump demands constitutionally impossible workaround to Supreme Court snub, based on an article by David Badash. Trump hits a constitutional wall and calls it a detour. The source of the conflict: Trump lost at the Supreme Court and immediately tried to talk around the loss. He suggested Congress could easily end birthright citizenship by statute, even though the court's majority said the opposite, and legal reporting in the source makes clear that a constitutional amendment would be required. Speaker Mike Johnson, a constitutional lawyer, backed the amendment route while calling birthright citizenship grossly abused. Power is the point. The real power in this story sits with the institutions Trump is trying to bend: the Supreme Court, the constitutional amendment process, and the state legislatures needed to ratify any change. Trump is not discovering a loophole. He is performing one for his base while the law says no. That distinction matters. The office he holds gives him enormous agenda-setting power, but not the unilateral authority to rewrite the Constitution by declaration, post, or wishful thinking. The workaround is the misdirection. Trump's claim that Congress can do this without a constitutional amendment is not a legal insight. It is a political move designed to collapse constitutional limits into legislative theater. The misdirection is obvious. Shift the issue from the nearly impossible amendment process to a simpler, fake alternative that sounds practical if you do not know the law or do not care. This is how power talks when it wants obedience without accountability. The court drew the line. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote that citizenship is the right to have rights, and affirmed the 14th Amendment's promise today. That is the court stating the rule in plain English. The Constitution means what it says until the country formally changes it. Trump's response ignores that and pretends defeat is just a technical hurdle. It is not. The hurdle is the point. The amendment process exists because the Constitution is not supposed to be rewritten by executive irritation. Johnson's role is not reassurance. Johnson's response is more revealing than comforting. He did not defend the current constitutional order. He endorsed changing it and described birthright citizenship as grossly abused. That is not neutral legal commentary. It is institutional participation in a long campaign to recast a settled right as a problem to be solved. The rhetoric turns citizenship into contraband, and the Constitution into an obstacle to be overcome by elite discretion. The larger pattern: this is the familiar authoritarian habit: lose in court, then declare the ruling misunderstood, obsolete, or easily bypassed. The goal is not accuracy. It is to train followers to treat legal limits as optional and to frame constitutional rights as policy preferences awaiting the right political weapon. Trump's confusion may be real, but the damage is not accidental. It is the method. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternet for today's article, with the automated voice of Marcus. Thanks for listening.